everyone, this is Pig for Life, and in today's Transformers video review, we'll be taking a look at Fans Toys FT-05T Soar. This is their masterpiece Swoop that I did a review for previously, but this is actually in their toy deco. So as you can see, it's in a nice red color that is reminiscent of the G1 toy, as opposed to what we're familiar with the cartoon blue version. Alright, so this review is going to be a little bit different in that we're going to not focus on transformation, but actually focus on looking at what the differences are between this deco and the original toy deco, the original Toon deco, and then go ahead and also just show you some comparisons again with some of the toys you'll probably be displaying them with, so that you can get an idea if this is the deco you want or if the cartoon deco is the one you want. Alright? So let's go ahead and get started with packaging review, and just a few things to note. Most of the things are going to be the same, but as you can see, the artwork is actually slightly modified, updated to show the red deco here. So you're going to see a lot of red on this version of Soar. The only other thing to note really is that they did correct the mistake where previously on the first version of Soar, they had Iron Dinobots up here instead of what it's supposed to be, which is Iron Diebots. So this is corrected. So just to really quick show you what the first one looked like, as you can see, it says Iron Dinobots. So a much different look, and one that is much more inclined to get a lot of trouble for Fans Toys. So they did say that was a mistake. They have corrected it here. But the other things that you'll note, since I have this out here, is the gold chrome is replaced with red chrome, and there are some black paint applications, like on the shoulders in particular, that again are mimicking the G1 toy deco. But yeah, otherwise you're not going to see much difference in the packaging. The promo images do feature the toy deco, and you can also see that they show him with the default as being the clear translucent head, as opposed to the gold chrome. The gold chrome is included, you can see that down here. It is included, but it's not the default setting, I guess. If that's what I can call it, the setting, I guess, the default configuration. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy open. Out of the box, you get the same styrofoam insert and molding that you got with the previous Soar, and it is multi-layered. So the first layer just being the lid, essentially. The second layer is where you get Soar and his extra set of wings. And one thing to note is that they did actually include this extra layer of plastic over top of Soar's chest this time. I'm not sure if it's because they wanted to protect the paint, or the paint was more prone to scratching or damaging this time around, but they did have that this time, and I don't recall my first Soar having that. So you can get that out of the way. And the third layer is the additional accessories again. So you get the sword, the stand, and the beak. Alright. So let's go ahead and show off the instructions real quick while we have that. So the instructions are updated as well. You get the red deco here. And same thing with the stat card. So I'm not going to go into detail showing this off just because it's the same thing as what we got before. But you get the idea. It's red instead of blue. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy properly transformed out of packaging. Out of packaging, Soar does come in this kind of weird in-between transformation, so we're going to go ahead and get him transformed into robot just because he's pretty close to that mode already. So you can just tilt this head back on this panel and just get it to sit straight. Then we'll deal with the feet just because I want him to be able to stand while I transform the rest of him. So you just come around to the back, open up these back panels here. And you're going to want to rotate the feet out. And to get these properly transformed, you basically want to keep the foot intact, even with this weird piece here. But you want to rotate at that bottom joint of this hinge here. So the easiest way to do that, as I explained before, is just hold this down and just push to make sure that you're only rotating at that bottom joint. Same thing on this side. Right. Close those up. And you'll know you did it correctly if the foot kind of looks like this. You'll get the back of the foot just outside of the back of the leg. Alright, and then you can rotate the heels out. Mine are really tight, so I'm just using my spudger tool. You can use any kind of pointy object, I guess, to get in there, to wedge in there and get it out. While we're down here, these legs need to be hooked into place. So you just rotate that down on both sides. These little hooks, they tab into the chromed dino feet, which kind of sit at the knees. So get all four of those rotated down, like so. And then you want to rotate, you want to extend. Well, actually, let's do this first. So to get into proper transformation, you want to fold the wings back at this inner joint like so. Not this joint, this inner one like that. And that gives you, the reason to do that is because you want to get more clearance for the shoulders and any kind of movement there. So once you have that done, you can still hear the really tight shoulders. You're going to extend the arms at the shoulders to reveal the bicep joint, I guess. Okay. And then go ahead and reach underneath here and rotate out the fists on either side. And again, it's a little tight on mine. It's always hard to get this fist kind of out. There we go. Same thing on the other side. Oh, that one was a lot looser. Okay, great. Alright, so that is Soar properly transformed, and you can also take his two missile launchers and peg them in to the wings. So here we have Swoop or Soar in robot mode. Let's just do a quick 360. I'm actually gonna position this a little bit differently. He's kind of looking up at him. I want to get this a little bit more even. Alright, so we'll just do a quick 360. And he still looks phenomenal. He still looks like he came right out of the cartoon. Or actually, yeah, he still looks like he came out of the cartoon aside from the deco itself. But yeah, he looks phenomenal. He's still my favorite figure from Fans Toys to date. And I wasn't gonna pick up this deco, but I really wanted to show everyone what he looks like, because he just is such a different deco, and I know there are going to be some people that really like the toy decos and have been really waiting for this. So I wanted to show this off. Alright, so give me 1 second and I'll go ahead and bring in some comparisons for you. Alright, so let's do the most obvious comparison that most people will want, and that is with the toon version of Soar. And there's not going to be a lot of difference in terms of obviously the mold. I mean, there should be no difference in terms of the mold. But there are obvious paint and plastic differences in some areas. So first off, all the red. You can see this guy is almost all red in terms of paint applications, as opposed to a nice mix of different paints in the cartoon version. So you see the chest and the abs and the lower body are all red. You can see that the chrome is a nice red chrome too. So that carries out throughout the missiles, through his eyes, through these thigh tabs, the feet themselves as well, the dynamo feet themselves are all this kind of red chrome, which is surprisingly really nice. This is a little bit darker than some of the other red chrome, but I really like it. I I honestly didn't think I would like it. Again, I'm not a toy deco fan, so I didn't really think I would like it, but seeing it in person, it just looks really good, and it's not as bland as I thought it was going to be. Particularly because they also have these dark gray shoulders up here as opposed to the same gray here. So that does break it up a bit. And again, the translucent beak also can break it up. If you want the chrome beak, I'll show that off in a little bit. But I think if you're going to buy this deco, it makes the most sense to go with the translucent beak. But doing some comparisons, there are still paint apps. So the red here that you see on the cartoon Soar, they actually have a darker red, a different red here. So it's not just the molded paint. There is actually paint. Molded plastic. There's actually paint applied here. Same thing with the chest. It is painted, and some of the small paint details up here, like the red and the yellow, still exist. The legs are, as far as I can see, the same exact paint applications in terms of reds and grays. I'm trying to see if these reds are a bit different. The cartoon one might be a little bit lighter than the toy one. So this toy one might be a little bit darker. It might just be lighting for me, but right now that's what I'm seeing. Alright. The wings are exactly the same. No difference in the wings. And in the back, as far as I can tell, there's no differences in paint applications. Still have like some of the dark gray up here and silver applications here, and really the back of the leg is pretty bare, so not much going on there. So I think those are all the same though. The eyes, the head sculpt is the same obviously, but the eyes on both faces, the front and the smirking one, are red eyes. It does still have a bit of paint app coverage issues with these eyes. So someone pointed that out in when I did my first review, right before I did my first review on the cartoon version, and that's still the case here. It's probably a little bit easier to pick out with the red though, just because it's darker color than the blue. So I was able to point that out just a little bit better. Alright, so that is really it in terms of comparison with the cartoon. Oh, actually, there's one thing I did want to mention. So the notorious thigh tabs, I don't know what they may have done. Maybe it's just because the red chrome is a different material or something like that. But these tab in much easier and come out much easier than my original Soar. So you see this goes in really flatly. I didn't have to put a lot of pressure, and I can actually, here, once I get in here, I can untab it really easily. So I don't know if they made some adjustments in the tolerances or what, but it's much nicer on both sides. So again, this is tabbed in already, and it's much easier to pull out and tab back in. And I have no worries on this one about actually keeping them tabbed in, as opposed to my cartoon one, which I don't keep tabbed in just because it's a really tight tolerance. So I don't keep, well, I tabbed them in just a little while ago, but these are a little bit scarier to pull out. Yeah, and they're much stiffer too. Especially this left one was much scarier to tab in all the way. See, there's a lot of resistance here, as opposed to the red Soar, which I can just tab in without having worries. So again, that might just be a unit thing. Obviously, even within different figures of the same deco, you probably get some tolerance differences, but this one seemed very apparent that it was much easier. So again, it might be just the materials they use for the chrome, red chrome, as opposed to the gold chrome, but I found that to be immediately noticeable. So let's go ahead and do one kind of obvious comparison, here he is with Grimlock. This is the Masterpiece Toys R Us version with his boots on, so you can see he's quite tall. Here, let me actually scoot this up a little bit more. Again, I don't want it to make it look like I'm filming at a very odd angle. I want to kind of get a straight on look. But yeah, again, really nice scale when you have the boots that came with scoring on. Here, I'll just change it to red eyes just so you can see what that looks like. Alright, the other obvious comparison is with Fans Toys' first Iron Diebot. And you can see Scoria still has a good amount of height on Swoop. But this actually looks pretty good, because they're both red. They do have very similar reds in terms of what's used in the die cast and some of the darker reds kind of used in the ab area. So this actually looks more cohesive, I would say, than the Blue Soar, but again, it really depends on if you're wanting to have a very uniform look for the team or one that's very accurate to the cartoon or toys. The last comparison I wanted to do is with the world's smallest Transformers version that I have. I don't have a G1 toy just because I don't collect G1 Transformers. I know that's probably blasphemous to a lot of you, but I wanted to show you guys what it looked like kind of with a G1 toy. So obviously the head sculpt is something that's much different with the G1 toy than the cartoon. So they didn't do anything different with the face sculpt. They didn't give you an alternate head or anything like that. But in terms of the colors and kind of what you expect, you can see, again, this is the comic version that I have, so it has dark blue instead of black. But you can see that's what it was supposed to be. The shoulders were always the dark black. And same thing kind of with the shins and everything else. But everything else being all red. Alright. So that's it for comparisons in robot mode. Give me a second and I'll transform into alt mode and we'll finish off with the review. Alright, so let's take a quick look at Toys Soar in alt mode. Quick 360. And if you watch my other review, no surprises here. Just the things that I should point out are the differences. And one thing I did notice that I should have pointed out before if I had, is that zooming into his thigh pieces, this one is really poorly detailed in that I think they just had a really thick application of the gold chrome, of the red chrome. You can see that, you know, 3 lines here and you can see the details up here. This one, the details are really muddy and you can barely see them. Like this top line, you can barely see, and you can barely see any of the top lines up there. So I'm a little disappointed there on the QC. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth bothering them to get just one little piece here, but I don't know, maybe I'll do that. I'm probably not going to keep him myself anyway. I'm probably going to sell him just because, not because I don't love this deco, it's because I'm actually going to get I'm collecting the cartoon and comic decos, so I don't need all 3. And the cartoon, the comic deco and the toy deco are going to be pretty similar except for some minor differences, so this one just doesn't make sense for me to keep. But yeah, I mean, I'll see what I'm going to do about this piece. Anyway, the differences that you'll notice when I bring in the other Soar are that the beak is chrome red instead of the chrome gold. So the top is still chrome gold if you want the replacement head. And then the other difference is, here, let's get this out of the way, is that in the face, the eyes in particular, you don't have a blue piece in there. You don't have blue colored, you actually have gold chrome colored eyes. And that's different than the toy version as well. Okay, so it's still a very awesome alt mode, obviously, same mold and all, but there's just the minor differences, like in the beak and the beak area and the eyes, do differentiate it a lot. So let's actually go ahead and bring in the Toon Soar. Sorry, I had to reach for him. And both of these still have problems balancing depending on how you have his feet transformed in alt mode. They're a little back heavy just because there's so much die cast in the back. But yeah, you can see the differences here with the beak and the eyes. As I pointed out before, you don't have the blue eye piece like the Toon version does. I keep mixing up toy and Toon, I apologize. You just have the gold piece here. But otherwise, all the other differences you've already seen in terms of paint applications. There's not really a lot new that you're seeing here. Alright. So let's go ahead and get Toon Soar out of here and do just some quick comparisons just to show you what he would look like displayed with your other dinos. So let me just get his wings forward so you can. Alright, so first let's go ahead and bring in the comic world's smallest Transformers swoop. So one thing I noticed on my world's smallest Transformers is that he has a gold beak at the bottom. I'm not sure if the G1 toy also had a gold beak or a red beak like this one. I imagine they probably had a red beak just because Fans Toys is pretty accurate. But I'll actually make a note of that in the comment section below. Or probably with a little note once I edit this video. Alright, let's go ahead and bring him in with Scoria. Alright, and Grimlock. So he still goes very well, obviously, with both the versions. Oh, actually, I guess I should change his to red eyes. Just to give it more consistency. But yeah, as you can see, he's still, the toy version of Swoop Soar still goes very well with your Masterpiece scaled Dinobots. And I'll show off the... I may collect the toy version of Scoria just to show him off. But again, he won't be a permanent part of my collection. I'm definitely getting the comic version. I know I have that limited comic version on pre-order. Alright. So, my final thoughts on the toy version. I think this is still a really good version of Swoop. And honestly, I think if you're watching this video, you probably already have a good idea of whether you want this guy in your collection or not. If you're a G1 toy collector and that's how you remember Transformers, you're probably already have this guy, or you already are planning to pick him up over the cartoon version. I think the deco is really nice. Again, for me, I thought it was going to be kind of bland. Just having all this red, a whole lot of red with the red chrome, the red paint, all over the chest and the legs and the beak. I just thought it was going to be just too much red. But seeing it in person, there are a lot of differences. You know, there's dark red here, there's a lighter red here, the plastics are slightly different red. So there is some depth to the red coloring that you're seeing. And the translucent head looks really good on him. I know I promised I was going to do the chrome head, but I mean, honestly, I think if you're going to pick this guy up, you're not going to switch to the chrome head. It just would not make sense logically to do that. That would just be a weird combination. Just to show it off though, if you want to see kind of what that would look like. You know, it kind of look like that. But again, why do that when you have the red chrome bottom beak? It just wouldn't make sense. I don't think. And then you'd also have all gold chrome because the eyes are in a separate color, so you'd lose that bit of detail. Well, you wouldn't lose it. It just wouldn't be as obvious where the eyes were in this case. Same thing with the silver wings. You are more than welcome to obviously change out the wings for the silver wings, these chrome wings for the silver wings. But again, the toy is known for the chrome wings, so it's definitely nice to have. So if you want to, if you like the toy deco but you absolutely hate chrome, then you have that option. So I still love that Fans Toys gives you that option to do that. If you want to add Fans Toys Soar, the toy version, to your collection, you can click on the Toy Dojo link in the description below. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends. And as always, if you want to keep up to date with my Transformer reviews and news, please go ahead and click the subscribe button in the upper right hand corner here. And last but not least, if you were looking for transformation instructions and you missed it at the beginning, I actually did this previously in my cartoon version. So if you want transformation tips and help, click on this link and that'll take you to that video. Alright? I think that's all for today, everyone. Have a good one.